Namaste. Namaste and welcome to this short practice. This is a passive opening stretch for the front of the body. It's a great practice to do on days when you'd like to do something, but you don't have a lot of energy, which was me this morning before I did this as a warm-up before my first class. So often when we feel a little bit jaded or fatigued, we spend time sitting, and sitting closes down the front of the body. We're often in poor posture, and it means that our breath can't move into the space that we've got available, and it sort of makes everything, it compounds the feeling of sluggishness is really what I mean. It compounds that feeling of sluggishness, and it doesn't help us to feel better. So this posture that we're going to do is, as I say, a passive opening of the chest. It's a yin fish, a restorative fish. And we're going to do it over a bolster, but you might also have a rolled up blanket as an alternative, or a rolled up towel. And if you're on a bolster, I want you to put something underneath the head end of the bolster. So I've got this lovely cushion. It could be a block, but I'm also going to take 2 yoga blocks or 2 more cushions and put them to one side for a moment. So we're going to practice against whatever is the long thing along our back, rolled blanket, towel, or bolster. We want to place ourselves down in front of it so that it touches the low back. And I've also got a handy blanket here, because if you're holding this pose for several minutes in a cool space, it can be nice to keep the body a little bit warmer. So to begin with, just gently bringing your feet to the floor and reclining over the support. So you want to find your head heavy on the support. The whole of the spine is supported, and the arms are able to release down with the backs of the hands on the floor. You can already feel in this position this openness across the belly and across the rib cage. You can feel the back of the body molding into the support, the shoulders releasing down to the sides of the body, opening the chest. And just spending a few moments here getting used to this feeling. If you're on a bolster, it will be a little bit more open than it would be over a rolled blanket, unless it's an enormous blanket, which it could be. But generally, a blanket is a little, it's a little more gentle of an option, which is great on those days when you really feel that you haven't got the energy, because it means that you're not expecting too much of the body over a rolled blanket. So our first job is just to stay here for a few deep breaths, finding this new shape, finding perhaps a breath that can move into the space that we've got now at the sides of the body and over the front of the body. When you've been here for a few minutes, you might like to explore lengthening your legs along the mat. With the legs long, that might feel too bendy in your back, but if it feels comfortable, you can hold here. If not, just bring the knees to be bent again, the feet on the floor. That will support the pelvis so that it feels less intense. If you're comfortable with the legs long, just allowing the toes to fall out to the sides, maybe if that's feeling good in the hips, and continuing to allow the body to soften and release back into the support and down into the floor. Any of the variations of this pose that we talk about are sufficient. There is no need to do the next step or the one after or the one after. So if you remain with your knees bent and feet on the floor for the whole of this practice, that is fine. If you're planning to do that, you can put your blanket on now. If you wish to explore a further option, then taking 2 blocks or cushions, we're going to put them either side of the body, bending the knees, taking the soles of the feet together and allowing the knees to rest out to the side, but using those blocks or cushions to support underneath the thighs. So if your outer thighs come all the way to the mat and you don't feel like your knees are hanging in space, and mine don't do that quite, then you could rest against the floor if you have the thighs on the floor. But if they're up away from the floor, we don't want the knees to hang in space. We want the legs to feel supported so that the body can truly release down. And if this feels comfortable, holding here and putting your blanket on. If this doesn't feel quite so comfortable, then stretching your legs long again, or taking yourself back to that position with the feet on the floor and the knees up in the air. Wherever you choose to be, we're going to rest here for a few minutes of deep breathing. So the key thing is that the posture is comfortable and that you are comfortable in it. So that means being warm enough that your space is lit in a way that it doesn't irritate you by making you screw your face up against the light behind your closed eyes. And making sure that you can sustain the posture in that softness, or adjusting to one of the previous variations discussed. When you're ready, you can draw your awareness to your breath. There's no need to alter the breath that you're breathing in this moment, but just notice if there's a natural pause after you finish breathing in, or after you finish breathing out. Perhaps you are lucky enough to have a natural pause in both of those places. Allowing your face and body to soften a little deeper. Focus on those moments of stillness in the breath. Allow those moments of stillness, quietness, peacefulness to be like ripples through the body and the mind. The stillness spreading from the breath into the body, spreading from the breath into the mind. There's no need to hold your breath, but you might find those moments of pause naturally extend with the awareness that you are devoting towards them. Notice the quietness in those moments. That deep sense of peace. you're comfortable, you can remain here for another few minutes, or as long as you like. But if you're ready to release out and just preparing to move, and begin, if you've got your knees out to the side, begin by just helping the knees together one at a time, using your hands off, and then moving your supports out of the way. You can lengthen your legs along the mat so the legs are long and straight, and just allow the legs to find their way back to this more neutral position. Maybe wave the feet from side to side. If your legs are long along the mat, then drawing your knees in so your feet are on the floor. So we all meet together in this posture, the first variation of the pose that we did. And then from here, rolling to one side, we want to roll off our support gracefully and ease the support out of the way so that we can roll flat onto our back with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. And allow the spine and the back of the body to find again this more neutral shape, to release any of the holding patterns from being in the more open shape. Perhaps you have a deep sense of release. Maybe you can sigh out through your mouth after a deep breath in. Allow the back of the head to feel heavy and gently roll the head from side to side. When you're ready, you can bring your head back to a more neutral shape, spot, and then we're going to roll to one side. Again, if you want a few more minutes lying flat on your back, please take them. Once you've rolled onto one side, just taking a moment and then coming up to any comfortable upright position. So I hope you've enjoyed this practice, this passive opening. This is a variation of a pose called Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining bound angle pose. The first one that we did with the legs long is a little bit like a reclining fish, but with the knees out, Supta Baddha Konasana. So these postures are particularly good for finding that openness in the front of the body. If your habitual movements are to fold forward or to have a slouching type of posture, we all do that occasionally. But also there's this gentle back bending naturally lifts your spirits, so increases your sense of upliftedness, if that makes sense. It lifts your energy a little bit. It can help you to feel more vital. It can help you to feel a little bit like you're able to engage positively with those around you. Maybe a touch. It's the magic of yoga. I hope that you've found it restorative and useful today. Please do like and follow if you would like more videos like this. I wish you a very good day. Namaste.